Hello, and thank you for joining us for this short video presentation. This online learning module is intended to serve as an introduction to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's Conservation Camps program. This training is designed for victim advocates at California Rape Crisis Centers who have an MOU with a CDCR institution which operates one or more of these conservation camps. This recording is made possible by the California Office of Emergency Services, which provides the funding for the California Advancing PREA project. This project has given the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Just Detention International the opportunity to put their expertise together in offering support and guidance to California Rape Crisis Centers on how to build strong relationships with CDCR staff and how to build sustainable agreements and protocols for the provision of victim services to incarcerated survivors. As many of you watching know, PREA is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, which was signed into law in 2003 and mandates that all U.S. detention centers take reasonable steps to prevent, detect, and respond to sexual abuse and sexual harassment. The goals of PREA are these: to eliminate sexual abuse in corrections and law enforcement facilities, to hold those facilities accountable for the safety of the people in their care, and to give survivors who are incarcerated access to a level of care comparable to what survivors who are not locked up have access to. This last goal of providing survivors who are incarcerated with a community level of care is why we're speaking to you today. Because although it is corrections agencies and not rape crisis centers who are mandated to comply with PREA, the participation of outside advocates is crucial to helping PREA serve its purpose. The PREA standards require that incarcerated survivors of sexual abuse and sexual harassment be given access to emotional support services from victim advocates. However, facility rules and restrictions about phone use, concerns about their own safety, and doubts about the extent to which their confidentiality will be respected, as well as very limited resources with which to buy paper, envelopes, and postage, all negatively affect incarcerated survivors' ability and inclination to reach out and exercise their rights. Nonetheless, this right to emotional support services is held by all survivors who are incarcerated, whether they live inside a detention facility or as part of a fire crew at a conservation camp. In addition to its 35 adult institutions, CDCR operates 40-plus conservation camps, also known as fire camps. The camps are spread out across 29 counties and together house around 4,500 inmates, totaling over 200 separate firefighting crews. A typical camp houses 5 17-member crews, as well as other inmates who provide support services. Each adult camp is operated by one of 5 CDCR institutions. We sometimes use the term parent facility to refer to these institutions. 2 CDCR prisons, California Correctional Center and Sierra Conservation Center, operate all but 6 of the conservation camps. The California Institution for Women, the California Men's Colony, and the California Rehabilitation Center operate the remaining. There is one youth camp, Pine Grove, which is overseen by Northern California Youth Correctional Center. The PREA compliance manager for the parent facility is also responsible for ensuring PREA compliance at the camps overseen by that institution. Although CDCR conservation camp fire crew members are still prisoners, living and working at one of the conservation camps is considered a privilege to be earned. Prisoners with violent histories inside the institution or with a history of rules breaking would not be considered eligible for placement in the fire camps. Only minimum custody inmates are eligible to volunteer for assignment. Also, some convictions automatically make an inmate ineligible for assignment at the camps, even if they have minimum custody status. Those convictions include sexual offenses, arson, and any history of escape with force or violence. All volunteers for the camps undergo additional screening and a medical evaluation before being accepted into the program. Once accepted, inmate firefighters receive the same entry-level training from CAL FIRE that any other firefighter in California would receive. Now, those of you who may have taken tours of CDCR prisons know that these can be imposing environments with artificial light, poor air circulation, and visual reminders of incarceration everywhere. So, from that point of view, a prisoner might understandably really want to jump at the chance to work outdoors. And it's true, the camps are a more open environment than CDCR prisons. However, the work performed by inmate firefighters is extremely intense. The hours are long, and the dangers to life and limb are very real. The camps don't have the same access to programming as CDCR prisons have, and their remote locations make visits from loved ones impossible. So volunteering for the fire crews is indeed a sacrifice made with a full awareness that they will be facing the same risks as firefighters at community fire departments. However, they enjoy far less in the way of benefits. In fact, before the recent California wildfires, these fire crews were largely invisible in the public eye. So they received not only very little in the way of monetary compensation, but also very little credit for the vital life-saving help that they provided to Californians. Adding insult to injury, their experience as part of a fire crew does not prepare them to enter civilian life as a professional firefighter, because many CDCR firefighters are not permitted to seek firefighting jobs upon release. To become a firefighter, most departments require an EMT license, but EMT certifying boards operate under a statute that denies applicants with any criminal history. As a rape crisis center with an MOU with one of the parent facilities to the fire camps, you're likely already familiar with the emotional support services your agency offers to incarcerated survivors, as well as some of the specific ways CDCR facilitates those services, such as via confidential written correspondence and via toll-free, non-monitored, non-recorded confidential calls to your hotline. While their means to do so may be limited, survivors living at fire camps have the same rights to your services as their fellow prisoners at parent facilities. But even though inmate firefighters have the same rights to emotional support services as other prisoners, they face more challenges in accessing those services. The conservation camps, as said before, are located in remote areas, so written correspondence to and from the camps can take longer than it does for inmates in conventional facilities. And while the parent facility may be in your service area, the camps may not be. It's important that you know which camps are attached to your CDCR institution, so that if you should receive a letter from one, you can recognize that while it originated from outside your geographical service area, it's still from the CDCR institution with which you have an MOU, and you should reply as you would to any other letter from that facility. Forensic exams can also be challenging, again, because the camps are far away from cities or populated areas. If there is a need for a forensic exam of a worker at the camps, the survivor will be transported to the closest available exam site or to the hospital designated by the parent facility to perform a forensic exam. Because fire crews are mobile and respond to needs across the state, forensic exams of a conservation camp survivor could occur wherever in the state they have been sent to fight fire. So it's always best practice to educate yourself. Where are the camps affiliated with your prison? What would be the location of the forensic exam for each of them? How can you work within your agency's capacity to do what is best for the survivor? Following an assault, the survivor would likely be transported to the parent facility, where they're entitled to receive follow-up services. For survivors who want to stay in the camp, the risk of being removed might be an additional barrier to reporting or reaching out for your services. For this reason, it's important to be proactive and to do outreach to the camps so that all who live there know of your services and that your professional help is available to survivors in need there. So now that you know more about CDCR's conservation camps and some of the challenges around access faced by survivors who may be working in them, What's next? You might be the only person currently providing services to incarcerated survivors at your agency, or you might be working as part of a team. The first thing to do is to raise awareness at your agency of the need to remember that the conservation camps exist and that workers there, even though not physically in your service area, they can be considered as potential clients of your agency as though they were housed at the prison in your service area. Share this video with them, introduce the fire camps as a standing agenda item during your PREA team check-ins or meetings. CalCASA and JDI have online webinars available specifically about providing phone and letter support to incarcerated survivors. When new advocates join the team, it's important to make sure that everyone doing this work is familiar with best practices. So reaching out to the PCM at the parent facility to discuss the camps can also provide a lead-in to a conversation about the current services being provided at the institution. It's important to reach out to the PCM or whoever is your most regular contact at the facility to begin the conversation about providing services to those who work at the camps. You'll want to make sure that they're aware that these camps do fall under their purview, even though they're off-site of the facility where they work every day. Let them know that your agency is committed to helping them succeed in complying with PREA, and that this extends to the conservation camps operated by their institution. Ask them if they know if your agency's information is posted at the camps and what kind of access a worker at the camps might expect to have to letter writing or telephones there. You may be aware already that CDCR has approved a teal-colored poster to be posted at all their facilities, giving information on how to reach the local Rape Crisis Center. So ensure that these posters are also visible and posted at the camps. This master reference guide, as well as a document with more specific information for your agency, was emailed to you as an attachment when you were invited to view this recording. You can share this with advocates who may be in charge of opening mail to use as a reference, and to furnish correspondents who may write to you from camps affiliated with other rape crisis centers with referrals to where they can get services where they are. At the time of this recording, each of the conservation camps is covered under an MOU with their parent facility's local rape crisis center. These MOUs state explicitly that mail between that facility and the Rape Crisis Center, which has the evidence code shown above written on the envelope, should be treated as confidential legal mail. That means outgoing and incoming letters should not be read and should only be opened to check for contraband in the presence of the survivor. Additionally, if a survivor is transferred back to their parent facility following an assault, the MOU lays out the facility's obligation to ensure toll-free, non-recorded, and non-monitored phone calls to your agency. With the devastating and unprecedented fires that swept through California in 2018, state conservation camps and inmate firefighters began to enter more into the public awareness, with thoughtful pieces highlighting their contribution to the state, appearing in the Marshall Project, Vox, Vice, NPR, the LA Times, and the New York Times. California inmate firefighters were a critical part of the overall effort to control the blazes, and their stories are very much worth reading, especially for those of us in California who may have unknowingly benefited from their hard work. We very much recommend a quick Google search to read more about these amazing individuals and the risks they face. We've compiled a list of articles available as an additional resource on CalCASA's website. There is much more to know about the men and women who live and work in the conservation camps than we're able to cover in this brief introduction. Recorded webinars developed by CalCASA and JDI are available online for learning more about providing services to survivors in detention. Most relevant to today's topic, you may wish to view or share the webinars shown here. I Carry Your Words With Me, Meaningful Written Correspondence for Incarcerated Survivors, and Receiving Phone Calls from Incarcerated Survivors. Both were developed specifically with CDCR institutions in mind to train advocates on maximizing the benefit to survivors from CDCR's recent decisions to allow confidential mail and toll-free, non-monitored, non-recorded phone calls between survivors at their facilities and rape crisis advocates. We'd particularly like to highlight a new toolkit which can provide a basis for advocates new to this work or looking for a single point of reference to serve CDCR survivors. This toolkit includes a lot of valuable information, such as who is most vulnerable in detention, checklists for how to build better relationships with PREA staff at your facility, concrete steps you can take to incorporate survivors who are incarcerated into your work, and links to training materials, MOU templates, the CDCR Department of Operations Manual, and other resources that can help you in this challenging work. And while this has not been a live webinar, we're still available to answer your questions. Please reach out via the emails shown here. We look forward to helping you. Thank you very much, and have a good day.